You're listening to the Throttle to the Floor podcast. Hey y'all, welcome to today's episode of the Throttle to the Floor podcast. I'm your host, Earnest, here today with just myself. Got a short preview episode today, so let's get into it. Real quick, I want to touch on this. Catherine Legg, she will attempt the Indianapolis 500 Coca-Cola 600 double this year. She's the first woman to attempt the double, just the sixth all-time to attempt it, and looking to become only the second driver to complete all 1,100 miles after Tony Stewart finished sixth at Indy and third at Charlotte back in 2001. So hopefully that goes well for her. But I want to get into NHRA. They're in the Chicagoland area this weekend, specifically Joliet, Illinois, at Route 66 Dragway for the Gerber Collision and Glass Route 66 NHRA Nationals presented by Peak. And me and Evan, we get to bring you all the action in first person, as we'll be there on Sunday. Last year we saw Tony Stewart in Top Fuel, Jack Beckman in Funny Car, and Gage Herrera and Pro Stock Motorcycles score wins here. Pro Stock is back in the fold, as they'll be racing at Chicago for the first time since 2024. But Coletta Motorsports, they come into this weekend in high control, both Top Fuel and Funny Car. Sean Langdon and Doug Coletta come into this weekend 1 and 2 in Top Field points. And at the last event, the Southern Nationals 2 weeks ago, Langdon broke the official national speed record that Brittany Force set at Indy last year with the first 345 mile per hour pass in NHRA history. Langdon also backed that up with a second pass the next day at 344.91 miles an hour and the Top Fuel win on Sunday. So Langdon now holds the two fastest speeds in the NHRA history and comes in as the most recent Top Fuel winner after winning at South Georgia Motorsports Park 2 weeks ago. But sadly, it doesn't look like the weather's all that great. It's pretty hit or miss. We might not see any more record-breaking runs due to rain and possible storms forecast for the whole region into early next week. But Doug Coletta, he's second in Top Field points behind teammate Langdon. He got a win of his own at the 4 White Nationals at Charlotte last month, which was his 60th career win. Coletta looks for his fourth win at Route 66 Raceway this weekend. Langdon seeks his first. And then J.R. Todd, he currently leads the Funny Car points after advancing to the final round at the Southern Nationals, where he lost to first-time Funny Car winner Jordan Vandegrift. And Todd has never won at Route 66 Raceway either, but had a runner-up finish there back in 2016. Antron Brown and his team, AB Motorsports, they come into this weekend with some optimism, as Antron has 4 wins here, including back in 2024. But both last year here at Chicago and last week at South Georgia, Antron was eliminated in round 2. Sean Reed, a good friend of ours, as he's been on the Throttle for a podcast before. He hopes to swing some momentum his way, as he does not have a round win this year. However, last year Reed advanced to the second round before falling to eventual Chicago winner Tony Stewart. And Ron Capps Motorsports looks to continue their hot start to the year so far, as Ron Capps sits second in Funny Car points with 2 wins at Phoenix and Charlotte. And Maddie Gordon, despite being a Top Field rookie, already has 2 semifinal appearances in her first 5 starts. So we'll see what all happens going into this weekend with possible rain, but I don't know if the rain's actually going to happen, so we'll see. But Dover, for the All-Star weekend, Trucks and O'Reilly's, they're running points races still, but the Cup race is the exhibition non-points All-Star race. For the Truck Series, it's the first truck race at Dover since August of 2020. Long time ago. Man, August of 2020, that's like COVID times. But current Cup Series driver Zane Smith won that race over Matt Crafton and Brett Moffitt. But Kyle Busch is back in the 7 truck for Spire Motorsports, and he not only won the pole, but he set a new track record in qualifying at 161.74 miles an hour. Busch is looking for his 5th truck win at Dover and 4th in a row that he has entered, but this is also the first truck race at Dover that he has entered in since 2014. And speaking of NHRA, shout out to NHRA Pro Stock motorcycle rider Destiny Spurlock, who managed to qualify for the truck race at Dover and is now the first African American female to race in a top 3 NASCAR series event. So great to see there. But our picks for the truck race at Dover, I'm picking Chandler Smith. He starts in 14th. Evan with Lane Riggs starts 11th. Haley with Stuart Friesen starts 13th. Stacy with Ben Rhodes starts 12th. Bernardo with Ross Chastain starts 8th. And Noah with Justin Haley starts 26th. So for the most part, we're all bunched up there from like 8th to 14th place. We're pretty all bunched up there. But in the O'Reilly Series last year, we saw Connor Zillits take the win in a rain-shortened race. Only 134 of the 200 laps were run, so not great there. But Zillits is not on the entry list this week. He took his third straight win at Watkins Glen via a last lap pass on Jesse Love last week. And once again, no Fords on the entry list, which is a separate problem in itself. Now NASCAR really needs to look at that. They were trying to say, oh, the O'Reilly series has an identity problem, and we should think about running crossover EVs. That is a mistake. The O'Reilly series is the best product on track on a weekly basis, and the TV numbers are really good too. It's just the problem with the O'Reilly series is that there are no Fords, and like 85% of the field are Chevys. So it's not good. That in itself is a problem that needs to be fixed. But our picks, I picked Brandon Jones. He finished third last year at Dover in that rain-shortened race. Evan with Jesse Love ended up fifth in that same race. Haley with Sam Mayer. Stacy with Justin Allgaier, who was fourth in that race and 10th last weekend at the Glen after starting second. Bernardo with Carson Kvapil, who's back in the one car this weekend, back in the car that really should be his full time, but whatever. And Noah with Ryan Ellis. I'm not going to question that, but you know what? That's his pick. So, but in the Cup Series, this is the first time that the All-Star race has been held at Dover in its 41-year history. It was, of course, back when, in 1985 when it was founded, it was called the Winston, back to Winston title sponsorship, but it was held at Charlotte in 1985, and then it went to Atlanta for 1 year in 1986, and then it was held at Charlotte again from 1987 all the way to 2019. COVID in 2020 sent it to Bristol, and then it was at Texas in 21 and 22, and then it was at North Wilkesboro from 23, 24, and last year in 25 before moving, this year to Dover. Last year, Christopher Bell won the All-Star race, and also Denny Hamlin is the two-time defending Dover winner, and Ty Gibbs got his first win at Bristol, which was the last time the Cup Series raced on concrete. All three of those, if you're wondering what they have in common, they all drive for Joe Gibbs Racing. So we'll see what all happens there. I feel like the Dover. I've always felt that Dover's one of those tracks that just needs time to settle in. Like it needs a 400 lap points race. Dover's not gonna be like crazy. Well, okay, Dover's probably not going to be crazy exciting when, you only run, a couple hundred laps or something. It's, Dover's not really, I don't want to say it's a flashy track, but, it's not, super insanely boring. It's just, Dover's a track that just needs time to settle in because when you give it time to settle in, the cars and the drivers, they wear down, and that's what makes Dover that much better because Miles the Monster will come and eat you. That is what it does. It gives time. You need time for that concrete to come and eat you alive. But just, I don't know how I feel about Dover being an all-star race. For one, Dover should be a point state. For two, having an all-star race in the daytime, I get Dover doesn't have lights, but having an all-star race in the daytime, television coverage starts at noon Central Time. like middle of the day. I mean, ugh. But I don't know how I feel about that, and it's also even more scary being that you got FS1, Fox televising it, so not great there, especially after last week at Watkins Glen. But luckily, this is the last week of Fox FS1 coverage. Next week, starting with the Coca-Cola 600, we get Amazon Prime. Thank goodness. I'm glad that Prime is back. That is good. But anyways, I want to touch on back to my test segment. Just welcome back to How's Hocevar, aka where we see how Carson Hocevar is. How is Hocevar? It's pretty self-explanatory. He streamed Spectrum Night in America last night. It was pretty funny. They took trophy trucks around both Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Kokomo Speedway, the dirt track. Apparently, Hocevar also loves catch up on certain things, and he only eats Kraft mac and cheese. That's a real one. That's the only mac and cheese he likes. I'm like, yes, that is also the same for me there. He also started talking about fajitas for some reason, and we all thought he was pronouncing it with a V. Sometimes I question myself and realize, wait, did I pronounce it with a V or an F? Like, it's hard. But on track wise, he ran 5th in practice, but only 18th in qualifying in the truck, while Spire Truck teammate Kyle Busch won the pole with a new track record, like we mentioned earlier. But yeah, so that's How's Hocevar for you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. But we got Dover All-Star Weekend, and as well as NHRA Chicago coming up this weekend. Me and Evan will be in Chicago all day on Sunday, bringing you all the action and content and all that. But that's all we got for today's short preview episode of the Throttle podcast. Make sure you tune in and listen and watch and download on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Check out the Chill Photography and Throttle podcast Instagrams and TikToks, and that's all we got. So, yeah, we'll recap it all on Monday. We'll be back from Chicago, so we'll tell you all about that, and we'll tell you how the All-Star race goes. I'm not looking forward to it. I mean, if I would be happy if the All-Star race is mediocre. I really don't want the All-Star race to be a disaster, because I feel like if it's a disaster, people are going to be like, get rid of Dover. Dover doesn't deserve to exist anymore. Like, no. Dover is a good track. It just needs time. It's not designed for an all-star race. It's designed for a 400 lap race. That's what it's designed for. But anyways, we'll recap it all on Monday, but that's all we got for today's episode of our podcast, and we'll see y'all on Monday.